Hi there, my name is Gerrid Smith and I have been in SEO since 2005. And in today's How to Win series, we are going to be looking at the oral surgeon market in Sarasota, which is where I live. All right, so when I do a search for Sarasota oral surgeon, you can see there is one business in particular that is going all out on their Google reviews, which I really commend them for doing that. They're taking it very seriously. And you can see how effective that is, even though they're number one. Even if they weren't number one, actually, you would still click on their listing because for two reasons. They have a perfect score of 5.0, but they also have way more reviews than anybody else. The other thing that I really like about these guys, compared to maybe some of these other businesses, is that they named their business the keywords that people will be searching for: oral and implant surgery, or just dental implants. But they have implant in there, they have oral in there, and they have surgery in there. And so when I do a search for Sarasota oral surgeon, they have the city name in there. I mean, they're really just hitting on all the things that Google's looking for. And one of the things we noticed was about 10 years ago, the personal injury lawyer market, which is extremely competitive, kind of recognized this. Many of the law firms that we worked with changed their name to include injury lawyer, car accident lawyer, something of that nature, so that they could rank better. These guys are taking that same sort of concept and applying it to their business. So doing really, really well. You can see here, they've got oral surgery, Sarasota, oral surgeon, Sarasota, kind of hitting on the top two keywords. Not a huge fan of repeating keywords like that, but you know what? It's working for them. This is not an overly competitive market, and so you can get away with stuff like that. But you can see, I actually like this particular listing better because the top two keywords for these guys are going to be oral surgeon and then dental implants. And so they nail both of those in here. However, because these guys have Sarasota oral and implant surgery in their name, they actually have a little bit of an advantage, but not so much of an advantage that these guys can't compete with better SEO. And so actually what I'll do is I'll dive a little bit deeper into this guy's listing to show him ultimately how he could outcompete for this top position. All right, so let's actually take a look at both of these websites, and I'll just show you kind of some pros and cons that they have going on here. So this is the top one. Again, Sarasota Oral and Implant Surgery. They have that in their headline. You know, awesome. The problem is that this is an image. This is not real text. And I don't like that because this is something I would want Google to be able to fully read. Sometimes Google can read images, sometimes they can't. And so there really isn't a downside to making this text that Google can read. And then they have welcome all over again. Here's the name of the business. It's fine. Here's the keyword. You can see an SEO worked on this because they were like, hey, let's stuff this in here. Oral surgery in Sarasota. The fact that they have surgery here would tell me that this should actually say surgeon. So you can mix things up a little bit. So I would actually change that to say oral surgeon in Sarasota if I were to take over this particular site. So let's just go through here. I like having pictures of the doctors. I like it when websites feel personal. I like it when they use a unique selling proposition. That's something that this business doesn't really do a great job at. Like, what makes you guys really unique? They could certainly say things like, I'm sure they've won awards. They could say award winning. They could say more 5-star reviews than any other oral surgeon in Sarasota, which would also be true. So they could do a couple things that I think would really help them to stand out. This feels like a massive section for one review when they could have, 8 reviews in this particular box. But again, these are all really, really small things. I love accordion tabs. Accordion tabs are what these little things are. It allows you to fit more text on a page while still condensing the size of the page. So I really actually like that component. And then meet the doctor is awesome. Oral surgery in Sarasota. Again, I would try to mix in surgeon a couple times. But overall, not terrible, right? They're doing a pretty nice job. Now let's look at these guys, which would be, somebody that I would be like, hey, I can probably help you rank higher than the number one guy. Here's what I like about these guys. And again, I haven't looked at these websites in advance, so I'm looking at this fresh for the first time. But they've got dental implant and they have oral surgeon here in a text that Google can read. So that's awesome. What they don't have, though, is they don't have Sarasota in here. So this would be perfect to say board certified Sarasota dental implant and oral surgeon. Would really like to see Sarasota put in here, especially since it appears he only has an office in Sarasota. He'd get a little bit of a bump by doing that. Oral surgeon in Sarasota nailed the keyword right there in that main headline. I love that. And now he's getting all his different keywords in here in a really, I would say, a nice way. It doesn't feel too spammy. Overall, pretty good. I would like to see this page a little bit longer. And one of the easiest ways, again, to do that is to add, and you can do it kind of right here, like kind of at the end of the page, almost like an afterthought, top 10 questions or top 10 FAQs, and then drop in those FAQs right in this area in accordion tab. So it's not taking up a bunch of space, but you're still able to get all the right keywords that you need in there. So again, he's doing okay for his on page. His competitor is doing okay for his on page because that competitor right over here has the actual keywords, that they're targeting in the business name. He's going to have an edge. So these guys are going to want to add a little bit more content to their page, and then they're going to want to make up for it probably on the domain authority or link building side of things, which we're going to take a look at here shortly. Let's just look at one more competitor just to see if they've got anything interesting going on. Again, image in the hero area. Not a really big fan of that. Healthy smiles start here. We still don't have the main keyword. So that goes, here's the main keyword. Finally, we're probably, bottom, middle of the page. And they've, for the first time, added in, the main keyword that is being targeted. Again, I mention this pretty frequently, but it's worth repeating here. You're not going to rank in all of these surrounding cities by just throwing them on your homepage. You've got to create unique web pages for every city that you want to target. So if you want to target Lakewood Ranch, Siesta Key, Osprey, Florida, these are all kind of surrounding cities to Sarasota. Create a unique page. Unique page maybe costs $400 or $500 per page to have it written, to have it created from a web developer, blah, blah, blah. But that's something you're going to make probably tens of thousands of dollars on, especially in a business like this, every year from that one-time investment. Super, super simple. And these are all really small areas. So there's probably even less competition in a lot of these markets. So it'd be very wise for these guys to create additional pages. But you can see I would give these guys even a lower score than the other two. Now, one of my favorite tools is this SERP Analyzer from SERP SEO. We're going to go ahead and dig in a little bit to what Surfer is recommending. So you can see right here, the average word count for the top 10 listings in Google is 206 words. That's pretty low. And this is one of those times where I'd be like, listen, if you could get up into the 400 or 500 range, I just think you're going to have an advantage because you can just fit more keywords into the page. And especially with something like this, where people are doing a wide variety of searches for this type of business. They're not just doing a search for oral surgeon or dental implant. There's lots of different keywords that are very, very relevant to this type of business. And it's just hard to fit in a lot of keywords in a 200-word page. But you can see that's the average. That is the average that is currently ranking well. Now, to no surprise right here, low content scores and low domain scores. This is a score on a scale from 1 to 10. And I would say the average business has a domain score of 1 to 2. So this is no surprise. But this is very, very unfortunate because this tells me there's a lot of opportunity to come in and do much better. Even I could take it, a site that's ranking way down here and rank them a lot better because all of these sites have very low content scores. And this just looks at, the keyword placement, the number of times you reference your keywords on the page. And it just tells me that there's a lot of room for improvement there. And so this was kind of the main guy we were looking at saying, hey, what would we need to do in order to rank him better? You can see the top competitor doesn't have a great content score. He's really relying on the fact that their business name has their core keywords in the name. But that just tells me, if we get this up to, I would really like to see it in the 70 plus range, which is where this starts to go kind of green, 70, 75. I just think he would shoot right up ahead of this guy. And the difference between the number one, a lot of people don't understand this, but the difference between the number one and the number two position is substantial. I mean, it could be 60 to 100+% more traffic in the number one position. So this guy doesn't realize if he spent just a little bit of money on his SEO, improving that content score, getting a couple more links, he could get substantially more business than he is right now from his SEO efforts. Now, let's also just take a quick peek. I like to run sites through this batch analysis here. And the batch analysis at Ahrefs shows me how many referring domains. It shows me a lot of different things, but the main thing I'm looking at is the referring domains, and I'm looking at the domain rating. So you can see right here, this is the domain rating. This is the authority of the website from Google's perspective. Well, from this particular tool's perspective, but Google's looking at this stuff too. But this is on a scale from 1 to 100. So you can see these guys, actually, I take that back. It's not on a scale from 1 to 100. It's from 0 to 100 because these guys are 0.3. And that's probably why they're not ranking as well, even though I think on the on-page side, they did a little bit better. And actually, we see that right here. You can see they're doing a little bit better. They're a 47 versus a 33. But from a domain rating standpoint, oh man, 0.3. All they need to do is go out and make sure they're getting all of the local directory listings that they can, which there's literally hundreds of opportunities, but they could at least get the top 100. And you can see right here, they've only got 50. And because they have such a low score, these must be like 50 very low quality directories. So it would not take very much time. I think in 90 days, we could have this, above 100. We could have this score right here above 70, and they should be ranking in the number one position. Now, they're not going to be generating a tremendous amount of business, but they sure, I think it would be safe to say they could bump up their business by 20 to 50%. But let's just go back to the search results here. Oral Surgeon Sarasota. Let me see. What was this guy's? Gary. See, he's not in the top 3 for the maps. And that's where, here he is, Raska. And look at this. He's got more reviews than everybody else. So this is just ripe with opportunity, absolutely ripe with opportunity for him to completely eat up this market. Because as soon as he's in the top 3 in the maps, he's going to be getting all the clicks, just like this guy right here is getting all the clicks. But the other guy could be getting the clicks because this guy only has 215 reviews. So if he can pop up into the top 3, get up here, I mean, it could definitely grow his business by 50, I would say to 100%, just because he's just getting way more people on his listing. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and I look forward to sharing more information with you in the future.